Later this year, Australia will become the first country in the world to ban under-16s from using social media. The introduction of this new law will be closely watched, with a number of countries now considering their own versions of the ban. One such is Singapore, where new guidelines have recently been introduced to limit screen time for children. Adam Hancock is in Singapore and has been taking a look at how countries across Asia are looking to better regulate the use of technology by their youngsters.
This game just appeals to me, maybe because it's about battling and you can choose different types of characters.
Like many children in Singapore, Ian spends a lot of time looking at screens. He's a gaming fanatic and also watches other people playing on YouTube. I asked him just how long he spends watching videos every day.
4 hours?
4 hours.
Does Mum agree?
I don't count.
I think including the weekend, probably 3 hours daily.
Right.
Yeah.
This amount of daily screen time is causing concern for the Singapore government. They recently released stricter guidelines around children's screen use, recommending that youngsters aged between 7 and 12 are limited to 2 hours a day outside of schoolwork. Singapore's health ministry says the situation has reached a critical point, with fears over the impact that excessive screen time is having on children's development and health. I spoke to Ian's mum, Candice Wu. Your son is 12 at the moment. He's now getting into using the internet and gaming and YouTube. Are you concerned about that?
Definitely. I think the fear is always with YouTube on what he sees online, and also on gaming, who is speaking to, who is he sharing information with, and things like that.
And what do you do to try and keep an eye on that? Do you monitor what he's doing? Do you speak to him about using the internet safely?
I think it's more about him being able to know what's right or wrong to watch it, and also what are some of the safety measures to have when he's gaming with other people online. And on top of that, he watches YouTube mostly on TV. Right. So where we are in that space as well. So I think this helps in the monitoring of what he watches.
And are you concerned that when Ian gets a little bit older and starts using things like Facebook and Instagram, are you concerned about them as well?
Yes, for sure. I think the main concern would be around cyberbullying as well, and people posing as someone else and things like that. So I also have a 16-year-old son, so we do speak about that.
The eyes of the world are on Australia this morning after Parliament passed sweeping world-first laws overnight, banning children and teenagers from social media.
Whilst other countries grapple with the issue of children and technology, Australia has taken decisive action. Later this year, under-16s will be banned from creating new accounts on popular social media sites like TikTok, Facebook and Instagram. Here's Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese.
I want to see kids off their devices and onto the footy fields and the swimming pools and the tennis courts. We want them to have real experiences with real people, because we know that social media is causing social harm.
Reception to the ban has been mixed down under, with many asking how it will even work at all. The Australian government has put the onus on social media companies to stop children from creating new accounts, threatening huge fines for those that don't comply. Whilst many questions remain, this new law has certainly attracted attention. Indonesia is exploring the possibility of a similar ban for under-16s, whilst neighbouring Singapore is closely monitoring what happens in Australia as it considers its own restrictions. Here's Mimi Zoe, a law professor from the University of New South Wales.
I think certainly in this region there has been a lot of interest on how Australia will implement this ban. It doesn't have to be completely successful, but if there is some data that suggests, for example, less number of young people on social media, I think that there will be more countries that will follow suit.
Back in Singapore, and whilst Ian was gaming away, I was keen to find out what Candice thought about a possible social media ban in her country.
I think a guideline is a good idea, but I think a full-out ban might not be realistic, because with technology, things are always changing. I don't think you can always ban things in time. Maybe a little bit more monitoring with AI keywords and stuff like that could also play a part in this monitoring for children or under 16. And I think the idea that, they have to have parental consent or age consent for certain app could be a good idea as well.
Elsewhere in Asia, and China has taken its own approach to restricting children's access to the online world. They haven't opted for an Australia-style social media ban, instead focusing their efforts on protecting children from harmful content online. China is also working to curb young people's addiction to online games. For more, I spoke with Hai-Ching Yu, a professor of media communication at Australia's RMIT University.
So they have the healthy gameplay system that restricts gaming to 1.5 hours on weekdays and 3 hours on weekends for users under age 18. And also there's a nighttime ban that gaming is prohibited for minors between 10 p.m. to 8 a.m.
And I understand they have guidelines for the phone makers and the app stores in terms of a minor's mode, right? Which a parent can turn on and it restricts the amount of usage.
Yes, and apart from those minors mode, platforms like Douyin and with the Chinese version of TikTok enforce age restrictions. This kind of facial recognition or kind of AI-driven technologies that would identify minors based on how they look and also how they move their hands, eyes, etc.
While smartphones continue to intrude on our lives and children get more and more tech savvy, the debate over young people's access to social media is only going to intensify. Countries across this region are all taking different approaches, but they all have the same message. Something needs to be done. Reporting for Monocle Radio from Singapore, I'm Adam Hancock.